Alright, hey guys. So I got my kombucha. Yay! I love this stuff. Alright. We're on growing from seed. If you're trying to get the most vegetables for the least amount of money, starting plants from seed is the way to go. It takes more advanced preparation, but it is well worth the extra effort. And I decided to take Saturday, and I'm going to make that my apple tree epic fail. My apple tree planting day. I have the pots. I do have soil, so I'm going to go ahead and do it Saturday. So, and I'll probably do a video. I'm not going to do a video of me doing a haul, but I'll do a video. Alright. Starting your own plants from seeds. You'll need seeds, of course, but you'll also need a few more supplies to be successful at starting plants from seeds. Containers. Basically anything that can hold a germinating medium and is the right size will do. Seed sowing flats should be 3 to 3.5 inches deep and can be any size, depending on how many seeds you intend to germinate. Generally, the ones you buy are made of plastic or fiber. Peat pots are good for seeds that resent transplanting and for larger seeds. These pots are usually 2.5 to 3 inches across and are combined germinating, growing, transplanting units. Peat pellets are made of peat pellets are made of compressed peat. Blah. Cannot talk today for some reason. When placed in water, they expand into units similar in function to peat pots. They are best for larger, reliably germinating seeds and seeds that resent transplanting. Plugs are cone or cylinder-shaped transplants. You can buy plug trays, which have up to 200 plug holes. One seed is sown at each plug hole. You can also use things from around the kitchen, such as coffee cans, paper cups, aluminum baking trays, milk or juice containers, and plastic food storage containers. Before using them, wash them in soap and water and rinse them in a bleach solution. Oh, I wouldn't recommend that. Okay, well, it says 1 ounce of bleach per 2 gallons of water. This prevents diseases that might kill your seedlings. I don't know if I would recommend that. Containers must have excellent drainage. If you make your own, be sure to punch out some drainage holes in the bottom. The sides don't work as well. Growing mediums. There is no one perfect germinating medium, but here is a look at some of the available choices. Baled or bagged peat moss comes from decomposed aquatic plants. Its composition varies greatly. It is rarely used by itself for propagating or growing, because water may not penetrate it easily or evenly. However, it is widely used in sowing and growing mixtures. Sphagnum moss is relatively sterile, lightweight, and able to absorb 10 to 20 times its weight in water. It is generally milled or shredded for use as a seed sowing medium. Vermiculite is expanded mica. It holds tremendous amounts of water for long periods of time and contains a high percentage of magnesium and potassium, 2 elements necessary for good root growth. Although it is not usually used alone for seed germination, it is an excellent addition to a mix. Perlite is a volcanic ash that stays cool and is therefore good in mixes used for germinating seeds that prefer lower temperatures. However, it will float to the surface when the seed bed is watered. Use the finest grade for seed germinating. Soil from the garden should not be used to germinate seeds unless it is first sterilized to kill weed seeds and fungi. To sterilize it, bake it in a shallow pan at 180 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. Be prepared for an unpleasant odor. Well, soil from the garden. Okay, well, in smaller containers, yeah. Anyway. Mixtures of peat or sphagnum moss or vermiculite and or perlite are the best mediums for germinating seeds. You can buy these ready-made or make them yourself, using 1/3 to a half sphagnum or peat moss or vermiculite, perlite, or a combination of the two for the rest. Double dig your garden. At about the same time that you are starting seeds, you might also start thinking about one of the best treatments for your garden, double digging. Dig a trench about a foot wide and as deep as your shovel. Place soil on a tarp or in a cart. Drive the tines of the garden fork or a broad fork as deep as you can into the bottom of the trench. Rock the handle back and forth to loosen the soil. Spread a little compost over the loosened soil. Dig another trench alongside the first, turning the removed soil into the first trench. Continue to the far end of the bed and fill the last trench with the soil from the first trench. This is what they're talking about. Five easy steps to sowing seeds indoors. 1. Fill a flat to within a quarter inch of the top with potting mixture and level the surface with a piece of wood. Normally I cheat and buy potting soil. Number 2, if you're going to plant the seeds in rows, use the edge of wood to make a quarter inch troughs in the soil. Otherwise, spread the seeds over the soil evenly and not too thickly. Then press them in with the flat side of the wood. Number 3, cover them, remembering that they should be buried to a depth of about 4 times their own diameter. Try to make sure that you spread an equal amount of soil over the whole area. 4, use a flat piece of wood to firm the soil a second time. Newly planted seeds should be watered liberally but gently, preferably with a fine spray. Number 5, last, the flats or pots should be put in plastic bags or covered with plastic to seal in the moisture. You should not have to do more watering until the seedlings emerge, at which point the plastic should be removed. So you can suspend standard fluorescent lights 8 to 12 inches above the seedling trays. First I'll show you this picture, this side. And then there's the grow lights on the other side. Most of you guys know what grow lights are. Helping your seeds germinate and grow.
Looks like it's from the 50s.
If we come across a little old lady skeleton in a wig and a rocking chair down here, check me out.
Hello.
Years I lived in that neighborhood and I managed to stay at
Okay. I'm gonna change my shirt. I was getting a little chilly. Alright, I'm gonna finish this and I'll go ahead and upload this.
I lost mine.
Helping your seeds germinate and grow. Provide your seeds with the following environmental conditions. 1. Light. Place them near a sunny window with a southern exposure or under cool white fluorescent bulbs. If they are by a windowsill, turn newly sprouted seedlings regularly so they will grow straight and evenly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had that problem with my plants.
Thieves get rich. Saints get shot.
2. Warmth. Most seeds germinate and grow best in a spot where the temperature remains 70 to 75 degrees. Most seedlings prefer normal room temperature, 60 to 70 degrees.
Think about your little boy.
Number 3. Moisture and humidity. Keep the germinating medium moist,
Still have a life, Bobby.
but never soaking wet. Slip your seed flats into plastic bags or cover them with glass until the seeds germinate. Remove the cover as soon as the seeds sprout. Check the new seedlings every day to see if the medium is lighter in color, indicating it is drying out. Water from the bottom until the seedlings are fairly large to avoid the disturbance of overhead watering. The first sprouts you will see are seed leaves, which are food storage cells. Once the first true leaves develop, start fertilizing. Use a soluble plant food at 1/4 the label strength when seedlings are small. Increase to half strength as the plants mature. When bottom watering young seedlings, mix the fertilizer into the water. Later, the seedlings can be fertilized from above. When to transplant. Seedlings started in flats should be transplanted in a larger container before going into the garden, or at least be thinned so they won't become crowded, leggy, or weak. Seedlings started in individual pots do not need to be transplanted. Do not need transplanting. Transplant or thin when the seedlings have developed 4 true leaves. That means 2 sets of true leaves. If thinning, leave it leave at least 1 inch between seedlings. Larger seedlings need more space. When transplanting, water the seedlings thoroughly first. If they're going into peat pots or peat pellets, wet the peat as well. Pre-moisten any mediums the seedlings are going into. Fill a container with the medium and then open a hole in the center, deep and wide enough to fit the seedlings' roots. Pricking out seedlings. Using a spoon handle or a fork, gently lift the seedling from the flat. Separate it carefully so as not to break any more roots than necessary. Always handle a seedling by its leaves, never the stem. Lower the seedling into the new hole, placing it slightly deeper than it was growing in the flat, and press gently on the medium. Okay, I'll show you what. There's the picture they show right there.
Take him over to central booking myself.
Transplants may droop or wilt, but they will recover if given the proper care. Some plants benefit from pinching while in transplant stage. Simply reach into the center of the plant and nip out the growing tip. Special seed treatments. Many seeds require special handling to ensure that they will sprout. Check the package or ask your nursery whether your selections require any of the following. Scarification. Nick the outer shell with a file or knife to make it easier for the plant to start growing. Soaking. Pour hot water over the seed and let it cool overnight before sowing. Stratification. Plants often need a recreation of natural cycles for seeds to grow. Place the seed into a sealed container or plastic bag with 4 to 5 times its volume of moist peat moss or vermiculite. Place the container in a warm spot for warm stratification or in the refrigerator for cold stratification. In the freezer if 32 degrees Fahrenheit is required. After the first month or so, examine the seed every few weeks. When small white primary roots appear, sow the seed in soil or potting mixture immediately. Getting plants ready for the garden. Hardening off is a process that acclimates plants to a new environment. It gradually toughens their tissues so they can adjust to a more challenging environment. 1 to 2 weeks before transplanting to the garden, place the young plants outdoors on a patio or step, first on a cloudy day, then on sunny days. Mild breezes will help strengthen their stems. If a frost is expected, bring them indoors and place them back outside the next day. Sowing seeds outdoors. To start an outdoor seed bed, create a loose bed 6 to 8 inches deep. Use a rototiller to make it easy and fast. Excellent seed beds can be readied with hand tools also. 1. Use a string to establish the edge of a row. It tells you where your first walkway will be. Stay right there in the walkway to plant, as well as to perform your other garden chores. Use a rake to mark the exact width of the beds, making them at least 15 to 16 inches. Drag your rake down the bed, keeping the edge of the rake close to the string. Rake only the areas where you're going to broadcast seeds. Smooth the soil with the back of the rake until the seed bed is smooth and level. Remove large stones, clumps of soil, and large pieces of organic matter. 2. Sprinkle or broadcast the seeds over the bed as you would with grass seed. 3. Firm them in for good germination using the back of a regular hoe. To germinate well, seeds should come in good contact with warm, moist soil on all sides. This says outdoor seedling care. If the soil is dry on planting day, use a sprinkler on the rows after planting. Keep the soil slightly moist until the seedlings come up. Once the seeds germinate, don't let them dry out. Watering is usually unnecessary early in the spring when most garden soils have quite a bit of moisture in them. After a rain or watering, a clay-type soil may become so hard that young seedlings can't burst through. Here's how to beat crusty soil. Drag a garden rake carefully over the seed bed with just enough force to break up the crust. The tines should penetrate the soil only about 1/4 of an inch. About like that. You may have to water hard-packed seed beds before loosening the soil. Okay. And this is number 4. Now comes the important step, covering the seeds with just the right amount of soil. Small seeds like carrots and most annuals usually need about 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of soil to cover them. Larger seeds, such as peas and beans, need about 1 inch. A rule of thumb for seeds is to cover them with enough moist soil to equal 4 times their own diameter. The easy way to cover seeds is to use a rake and pull soil from 1 to 2 feet beyond the row up onto the seed bed. The important thing is to lift up the soil onto the bed and not to rake the seed bed. Once you have little mounds of soil sitting on the entire seed bed, with the back of the rake, smooth them out gently with the back of the rake, being careful not to disturb the seeds. Once the bed has been planted, the strings and stakes can be removed. High yield gardening. People who have acres and acres of corn don't worry too much about a few straggly stalks here and there. But those who only have 20-foot square garden must use that small space wisely. Many factors from spacing to weeding have a profound effect on garden yields. Proper spacing. Certain plants, such as root crops, carrots, radishes, beets, are less sensitive to close spacing than others. Leaf crops, such as spinach, celery, and lettuce, can also grow closely together. Fruit-bearing upright plants, such as peppers and tomatoes, give highest yields when their foliage is almost overlapping. They are spaced so the foliage of mature plants is separated by 3 to 4 inches. The total yield declines, but the size of the individual fruit increases. Vining crops such as melons, cucumbers, and pumpkins need more space and more light. Fruits such as melons and storage parts such as potato tubers are reservoirs that hold accumulated energy gathered from sunlight by the plant's leaves. These plants should be in a spot where sunlight falls on the entire plant. Leaf crops such as lettuce and Swiss chard, on the other hand, do not need as much light. Watering. To produce the best crops, plants should have uninterrupted growth, which translates to an even, constant supply of water. Under most conditions, this means about 1 inch per week. However, this may depend on the stage of growth. Ripening strawberries that receive slightly less than 1 inch of water per week produce smaller but sweeter fruits. A little less water while fruits are ripening will reduce the yield but increase the quality. Potatoes and onions need much less water just before harvest. This helps the crop last longer after you harvest it. Weeds. It comes as no surprise that an unweeded garden produces smaller yields. What is a surprise is just how much a difference weeding makes. Studies show that regularly weeded fields produce 6 times as many tomatoes as do unweeded ones. Potato yields increase 3-fold, onions more than 10-fold, carrots more than 15-fold, but the timing of cultivation is crucial. Do not weed after a rain of less than 1/2 inch, or you will lose soil moisture. Weed during dry times or after a heavy rain. Vegetables are most susceptible to competition from weeds from the seedling stage through the time fruits begin to enlarge and mature. And then here's the picture for that right there.
Better and better. Where's the girlfriend now? Well, who knows what
Okay,
they might be
almost
doing.
done here. Tips for setting out plants in the garden. 1. Double check planting dates before you start moving plants to the garden. Most annuals and vegetables must wait until the danger of frost has passed. Some can go out earlier. Tomatoes, eggplants, and peppers must wait until the ground is completely warmed up. Number 2, prepare garden soil with organic materials to get the most from your plants. 3, water both the ground and the transplants to cut down on transplanting shock. Do your transplanting on a cloudy day or late in the afternoon so the heat of the sun won't cause excess wilting. 4, dig a hole about twice the size of the root ball. Set the transplant into the hole deeply enough so the root ball will be covered by 1/4 inch of soil. Press the soil firmly about its roots. 5, if seedlings are growing in peat pots, plant them as they are. Peel back the peat pot slightly so the walls will not confine roots, and cover them completely with soil. 6, use a knife or trowel to cut out transplants growing in flats that are not compartmentalized. 7, transplants in individual pots can be turned upside down and tapped out. 8, water immediately after transplanting and again every day for a week until the plants are established. If some of them wilt, misting or shading them will help them revive quickly. And then there's the picture for that right there. And that was all for that. That was growing from seed. And I do believe tomorrow I will get into my seed videos. So,
New Sundays on CBS.
I'm going to go ahead and get this one up there, and I will see you guys.
We're more than just your
I
gas.
don't know if I'm going to do another one tonight. We'll see.
Put this trash out.
I have a couple of other things I need to do,
Service out gas lines on Thursday night.
but
And Rhonda.
I will definitely get this up there, and I will see you guys in the next one, be it today or tomorrow. See you guys. Bye, guys.
Keepers of the flame for New Year's.